Hi, Director Doug here, and once again I'm going to give you a behind-the-scenes look at what goes into making one of the episodes for Discovery Mountain. And today we're going to look specifically at the explosion, the crash, the smash of when the wrecking ball hits the bookstore and knocks it over, and Madam Manager cheers and the camera's clicking and the crowds are cheering. Well, in this particular scene, there's a lot of elements. It's not just one big crash. There's a lot of elements that go into making this particular scene come alive. Why don't we take a closer look? Okay, so here's the timeline that shows the various elements that go into making the scene for the demolition. Let's take a look. I mean, first off, we have up here, we have our dialogue track. So right here we have Judah's dad, we've got Madam Manager, we got Hattie, and so on and so forth. So, if we play it.
Everyone, please stand.
That's Judah's dad, and then there'll be other dialogue tracks as well. But that's just the dialogue, right? And so to the dialogue, we add all the things that make the scene sound realistic. So the very first thing I need to do to make us believe we're in a construction site is I need to just have it sound like we're standing outside at a construction site. So what I ended up doing was I found a recording someone had made that was at a construction site where there's just general work going on, and that's this line here. So it extends the entire time, even through the explosion. So it's just the background noise. We call it ambience, all right? So let's just take a quick listen to that, and this is just the environment in which the scene is taking place. Here we go. Okay, so that's just the ambience. That there's no people talking, there's no crashing, there's nothing. This is just the general ambience of being outdoors near a construction site. All right. So next thing we need to take a look at is some of the elements that we use to make the to build up the explosion. Well, the first thing I had to do was the wrecking ball has to be raised up and then released in order to gain the momentum to smash through the wall, right? So I used this sound effect here. It was basically kind of a construction crane that was lifting something up. And let's listen to that. And basically all it does, it sounds like a machine that's doing some work and then stops. Here's what it sounds like. Okay, and that's kind of the sound I use to make it sound like someone's lifting something heavy, and then it comes to a stop as it's reached the top of where it wants to lift it to. Now, the entire time that this scene is going on, Hattie is snapping pictures. So I recorded my camera, just taking pictures, and so this is just that element. That's it. And that goes in there as well various times throughout the scene, so you hear her taking her pictures. Now, as they start to raise the ball, there's a warning bell that goes off, and I think this is pretty standard for construction sites where they're doing demolition. Before they knock a building over, they either sound really loud sirens or bells to let everybody know that the building is about to come down and to stay back, keep your distance, because debris may be flying. So that is this effect here, and it's just basically, it was just a school bell, but it worked very well for this, and so that's what this sounds like. So that's the school bell, and that's the warning to say, hey, you know what? We're about to release the wrecking ball and the building's going to fall down. Now, if I was shooting video, you'd see the wrecking ball fly through the air and hit the building. And really, a wrecking ball doesn't make much sound just flying through the air. You might hear a little bit of a whoosh, but not really. I mean, it really doesn't make that much noise, but you would see it. Well, in radio or a podcast like we do here, you don't have the luxury of seeing the ball. So I had to come up with a sound that sounded like something's whizzing by you, like something heavy. And so I ended up using this effect here, and let's listen to it. And basically all that was I found a whoosh that was much faster than that. I slowed it down to make it sound big and heavy. And that's the sound of the wrecking ball actually flying towards the building and just before it impacts. Now, of course, what happens next? Well, the ball actually hits the building. So what I found was this effect down here. And this was a recording someone made of an actual demolition site where a wrecking ball was being used. And this was the sound they got when the wrecking ball hit the building, and the machinery involved in in moving the wrecking ball. So let's take a quick listen here. Just some machinery noises and right, the big smash. Now, I guess that sounded okay, but I wasn't really happy with that because I thought, it's not loud enough, it's not big enough. So in order to make the whole smash crash sound a little bigger, I added quite literally the sound of an explosion. And that's this effect over here. And I just put it on top of the other effect of the wrecking ball hitting the building. So I just doubled it up. So this is the sound of the explosion. So I timed that to start at exactly the same time that the ball hits the building, and it just makes it bigger. But I still wasn't happy with that because I thought you just needed to have the sound of more debris flying around, more stuff falling off the building. So I added a couple little things of debris, just debris, stuff dropping like stones and gravel and pieces of wood and whatever else. And so we have this effect up here. And I added another piece of effects down here, which is again some more debris, and that's this one here. All of those are added in order to make a bigger sound, like it's like a big crash, right? Now, as the building comes down, of course, you have the people cheering, and that was really easy. We found some sound effects of an audience cheering, and let's just take a listen to that. Now that's fine, it sounds like an audience cheering, but I thought it sounded a little too small. Again, always trying to make things sound big and powerful. So ended up then using a second crowd cheering effect down here, added a second one, and that was a completely different crowd, so it just sounds like more voices, and so I added that as well, and here it is. And of course, because it was her job, Hattie now is running around as the building's falling and the debris is falling and the dust is up in the air, and she's taking pictures. So I added more of the camera effects. Like so. The other thing we added, just one more thing to make the scene sound realistic, was as the crowd's cheering and the building has fallen down, we start to hear bulldozer sounds, like the bulldozers have moved in now to push the debris away, and we added that sound, and that one was right here. And those are the basic elements of the scene. So all of that added together, and again using different volumes and more bass or less bass, adjusting how it has bass or treble, we are able to again give a final scene that's really convincing. So why don't we take a listen to that final scene, and you can pick out some of those individual elements that I've pointed out to you. Here we go.
Everyone, please stand back and we'll begin.
Get ready, Hetty. Here comes the wrecking ball.
Okay, I'm nervous.
Nothing to be nervous about, hun. We wreck stuff all the time around here. On to the business. Woohoo! Take pictures, Hetty!
I'm taking them. Whew, there's a lot of concrete dust everywhere. Whoa, where'd the building go anyway?
Gone. Nothing but a big pile of bricks and dust now. Success! Hetty, there's Mr. Bill's.
Well, I hope you really enjoyed this little behind-the-scenes look as to how we made that explosion, that whole scene come alive. Remember, you can listen to all of the Discovery Mountain programs on discoverymountain.com. Be sure to tell your friends about it. That's discoverymountain.com. Don't miss a single episode. We'll see you soon.